We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trail Blazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't wear this until we actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 Cents. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys doing good, man. Hope you guys had a great weekend, man. I definitely had a great and fun weekend. As you guys, some people might not know, me and my wife, along with other members of our family and friends, we formated a marriage club. So we had our marriage club weekend this past weekend, and we had a ball. I mean, it's always a good time to be able to hang out with other couples who has, been through it already. We have some couples within that group. Some have been married for 10 years, 15 years, and some are, newly formated like us, like me and my wife. We'll be celebrating our 3rd year this year, being a married couple, December 7th. So we definitely had a great time. And then, of course, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out here. As you know, you guys deserve more than a day. You guys deserve the whole damn year, especially, my mom and my grandmother and my mother-in-law, and other women in my life that has had a major impact on me, like my aunties, my godmother / auntie, my Aunt Carlene, my Aunt Dorothy, and just to name a few of just women who had major impacts on my life. So we appreciate you guys. Happy Mother's Day. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend as well. I hope you guys, I know Monday snuck back up on us, but I hope you guys already had your goals planned out, ready to have a productive week. Remember, as always, you gotta set achievable goals. And once you set those goals, it's time to execute. There's no other way around it. You're not gonna get to where you want to get to without putting the work in. But enough of the small talk. I know what you guys came here for. You came here for the hottest sports conversation in the nation. So go ahead, kick your feet up. I know it's Monday, but if you're home from work, get a drink. And if you're on your way to work, drink your cup of coffee and let's tune in, because we have to talk about everything that's going on in the world of professional basketball right now. And I have to start off by talking about a man who has caught and received a lot of flack, a lot of unfair or unjust criticism. And this is probably one of the hardest playing players that we've ever had the opportunity, the chance to see up close and personal, because Russell Westbrook has once again made history in the NBA. On Saturday night, the Washington Wizards went against the Indiana Pacers. And let me tell you guys, this was a great game. Of course, it went into overtime. These teams right now are fighting for their playoff lives. And on this episode of Rob's 2 Cents, I'm going to talk about the Eastern Conference side of the play-in. If you guys didn't check the last episode out, which was also a live show that I did on Facebook this past Friday, it is available right now on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, of course. Check it out, man. I definitely tried to break down the Western Conference situation as far as the play-in goes. And on this episode, we're going to be breaking down the East. The Wizards will go on to win in overtime, 133-132, as Russell Westbrook would not only hit 2 free throws to take the lead in overtime, which would eventually be the ending score of the game. Not only did he get the game-winning block on Karis LeVert, who attempted a last-second 3 as the clock wind down, but he will also make history as he tied Oscar Robertson with 181 triple-doubles for a career. By the way, this was his league-leading 35th triple-double of the season for Mr. Russell Westbrook. With this win, the Wizards have moved up to 9th place in the East and could possibly get to 8th place when it's all said and done, which will change the dynamic of who they'll be playing first. Now, you know we have to look at the box score of this great game because a great game it really was. If we look on the Pacers side of the ball, Caris LeVert will have a near triple-double, but definitely get a double-double, scoring 35 points. Shot 12 of 30 from the field, including 3 of 9 from distance. As you know, Caris LeVert, it's good to see him back. He got traded from Brooklyn and he was out, with an injury. So it's just good to see him come back and play some meaningful basketball with the Indiana Pacers. And Caris LeVert is a dog. I mean, you got to remember, if it wasn't for him last year, I think Brooklyn wouldn't made the little noise that they made in the playoffs last year. So it's just great to see Caris LeVert back. He will also have 8 assists, 14 rebounds, and 2 steals, just being dominant in that game. Domantas Sabonis, son of the great legendary Avita Sabonis, would get a triple-double as he would score 30 points shooting 12 of 21 from the field. However, he was 0 of 3 from the three-point line. He will also have 13 assists, 13 rebounds, and 3 steals for the Indiana Pacers. But let's look at the Washington Wizards side of the ball, because the sad part is, even though the news will focus more on Westbrook's historic play and the fact that he can make history by tying the great Oscar Robertson, we can't forget about Bradley Beal. Because remember, Bradley Beal right now is in a tight race against Steph Curry for the NBA's league leading scorer. He would have a game. And Bradley Beal would go for 50 points. No, you didn't hear that wrong. Bradley Beal went from 50. We know once he gets hot, he gets hot. And he would shoot 19 of 31 from the field, including 3 of 7 from distance. He will also have 5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks in the game as well. Now, unfortunately for Beal, who, as I mentioned, is in this race with Steph Curry to be the NBA's league leading scorer, Steph Curry would score 49 points against the Oklahoma City Thunder in 3 quarters. The Oklahoma City Thunder, in case you didn't hear me right, in 3 quarters. So right now, Steph Curry is still number 1 and Bradley Beal is number 2. But Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, he would do what Russell does. And Russell Westbrook did Westbrook things. As he would fill up the stat sheet, he scored 33 points, even though he shot 11 of 26 from the field. He was 3 of 7 from the three-point line, which is great news because Russell Westbrook, statistically speaking, is not a great three-point shooter. But he will also contribute with 15 assists, 19 rebounds, which 4 of them was offensive rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And as mentioned earlier in this segment, this was the historic stat line that would help Westbrook make history, as he would tie Oscar Robertson for the most triple-doubles in a career. Russell Westbrook has shown tremendous heart, not only for this season, but throughout his Hall of Fame career. As mentioned, this is his 35th triple-double of the season and the 4th time he has averaged a triple-double in his career, where he is currently averaging 22 points, 11.5 assists, and 11.6 rebounds a game. It's hard to get a triple-double, let alone average a triple-double, let alone average a triple-double for 4 seasons. The only season he didn't average a triple-double in was when he went to Houston to go play with James Harden, and he deferred for James Harden's sake so James Harden can still feel like he was the number 1 option on that team, which he was. Now, the Wizards have moved up to 9th in the East, and they're really only 1 game behind the Hornets for 8th place. Their next game will be against the Hawks tonight, Monday evening, and this could be the game where we see Westbrook make history, where he will finally pass the Big O in career triple-doubles. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want us to all take some time and recognize greatness, to recognize the greatness that we are seeing. Because if you are a fan of basketball, whether casual or an intense fan, you have to notice that what Russell Westbrook is doing has not been seen for a very long time. To be able to pass up Oscar Robertson, who was just known for being a triple-double machine. Even if Russell Westbrook doesn't get a ring, this accolade alone will put him in the Hall of Fame. We have to respect and love greatness while we are seeing it. Give that man his flowers while he is here, while he is still playing, and recognize that what we are seeing now, we probably won't see again for a long time. We're talking about a point guard that's not only averaging double digit in rebounds, but also can go get you 20 rebounds if needed. As I mentioned on my live show on Friday, you have centers that cannot even do that. It's certain centers who I can count on right now on my hand and say, yeah, that guy's never had a 20 rebound game. So to see what Russell Westbrook is doing and to be able to still score and put his teammates in better positions to score and to be better, you guys better watch out for the Washington Wizards. And we're going to talk more about that later on in the segment. Actually, next segment. Because speaking of the Wizards, the Eastern Conference play-in picture is starting to heat up. Right now, the Boston Celtics are currently in 7th place after losing to the Miami Heat on Sunday evening, and now they're 2 games behind the Heat for 6th place in the East. Charlotte currently sits in 9th place and is 2 games behind the Celtics and 1 game in front of the Wizards. And the Wizards, who, as I just mentioned, I think is the most dangerous team in this play-in tournament, is only a half a game above the Pacers, who currently sits in 10, and are 2.5 games above my Bulls, who look like they won't even make the playoffs. However, things have changed because Boston just took a bad blow. And I just want to let you guys know right now that we're going to talk about that in the closing segments of this show. But I think that this has definitely hurt the Celtics' chances of making some noise in the playoffs. So if the season ended today, hypothetically speaking, I know if was a fifth, everybody would be drunk. But if the season ended today, the Celtics will play the Hornets and the Wizards will play the Pacers. Now, I know I've explained this play-in situation, but I do want to apologize as an analyst, as a media person. When you're wrong, you have to admit you're wrong. So at first, the way I was explaining it, I thought 7 and 8 went against each other, 9 and 10 went against each other, and then the winner of those games will play each other to determine who's in 7th place, and the loser of that game will be in 8th place. However, that is not the case. 7 and 8 will play each other, and 9 and 10 will play each other. So how the tournament is going to go is whoever wins between 7 and 8, the other team is eliminated. And what's going to happen is whoever wins against 9 and 10 is going to have to play against the loser of 7 and 8. And then that person will be in the 8th spot. So whoever loses in that 9 or 10 game, you only got 1 game to show out, and then it's over with. So pretty much whoever wins the Hornets-Celtics game will be in 7th place, have a trip to the playoffs. The loser would take on, so the loser would take on the winner of the Wizards-Pacer game, and the winner of that game will determine who gets the final spot. So it's a lot going on with that play-in tournament stuff that I'm still trying to understand. So let's see if we can break this down one more time. So 7 and 8 will play a game. 9 and 10 will play a game. Whoever wins between 7 and 8, they automatically go to the playoffs. So now the loser of that 7th and 8th place game is going to take on the winner of the 9th and 10th place game. And whoever wins that game will fill out that 8th seed spot in their conference, and they will then have a trip to the playoffs. So that is a lot to take in. Right now, as I mentioned, I think the Wizards are the most dangerous team in this play-in tournament in the East. They're just clicking on all cylinders right now. And then when you have a player like Bradley Beal who can just go nuclear, who's right now looking like it's going to come down to a tight race between him and Steph to see who's going to be the NBA's leading scorer. And then I think the Hornets, and then you also have a player like Russell Westbrook, who's just Westbrook. I mean, Westbrook is going to give you 120%, as I always say, and you cannot overlook the Wizards. And then I think the Hornets will be another team that advances in that playoffs just because it's just written in the stars for them. You got a stud in LaMelo Ball, a nice young nucleus with Terry Rozier, with Miles Bridges, with PJ Washington. I mean, they have a squad over there in Charlotte. So I think the Hornets and the Wizards will be advancing to the playoffs, and there's going to be an interesting match to see because if, let's say, the Wizards make it and they're in 8th place, there's a chance that they can play Philly, or if the Wizards win and they're in 7th place, we might see a KD versus Westbrook matchup in the playoffs. You want to talk about box office? You want to know what Rob's 2 cents is? I'll tell you what Rob's 2 cents is. Russell Westbrook is going to be coming out for blood because, did you remember, KD just left him off his favorite teammate list. KD was on a podcast. They asked him, name your top 5 best teammates. And he acting like Russell Westbrook didn't exist. Oh, I can tell the playoffs are brewing, baby. Remember, the play-in tournament begins May 18th, so we will definitely be tuning in, and I will keep you guys up to date with all the news going in that's in the NBA. And I also got to take you back out west for a second. The Lakers have put themselves in the play-in tournament as they lost to Portland 106-101, and now Portland owns the tiebreaker over the Los Angeles Lakers. However, the good news is AD is finally looking like he is AD again and finally getting in basketball shape. And that couldn't happen at a better time because the Lakers will most likely play in the play-in tournament. In the game against Portland, Anthony Davis will score 36 points, which is the most points he's scored since he's returned from that calf injury that kept him out for 30 consecutive games. He shot 12 of 23 from the field, including 2 or 3 from distance. Also had 5 assists, 12 rebounds, and 1 block. But it was the game against the Phoenix Suns that happened last night or on Sunday evening, if you guys are watching this on Tuesday. And you know Phoenix right now, they're in the battle against Utah for the best team in the West. AD would shine as the beast will finally awake, as Alex Caruso so elegantly put it. And the Lakers will beat the Suns. It was a very good signature win, especially for them to still be without Dennis Schroeder and, of course, still without my boy GM Bron. AD will put on a show as the Suns lost to the Lakers 123-110. AD will score 42 points, shooting 13 of 27 from the field and 1 of 5 from the three-point line. He also had 5 assists, 12 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. The Lakers definitely needed every bit of AD because the Lakers are still battling to not make it in the play-in tournament. So I think LeBron is supposed to be making his appearance back to the court sometime soon. According to AD last night in the post-game conference, he said LeBron is looking good. And I take his word on it. I mean, I think right now LeBron just has to get into better basketball shape so that way that hamstring, or not hamstring, I'm sorry, that ankle doesn't tighten up on him. As you know, he suffered a high ankle sprain. And he says that, you know, as the game progresses, it starts to get tight, especially in the second half. So, you know, I can already tell you now, excuse me, if the Lakers are not completely healthy, i.e. LeBron not completely healthy, then the Lakers are not winning a championship. But if LeBron comes back and AD plays like we saw last night, let me tell you guys, the league is in trouble because you can never sleep on LeBron. And AD showed you can't sleep on him much either. Kudos to you, AD. And I have to touch on the MVP discussion because, in my personal opinion, this has turned into a 4-man race. As you know, I believe there are like 4 or 5 games left in the regular season for teams. So they're about to wrap up the MVP race and figure out who was the MVP of the regular season. And the 4 men who I think this race has come down to is Nikola Jokic, who many believe is the front runner anyway, Joel Embiid, Chris Paul, and my man Steph Curry. Let's look at what each guy has done this season. The Joker has played every game this season and is averaging 26.4 points, 8.5 assists, and 10.8 rebounds a game this season. The Denver Nuggets currently sit in fourth place in the Western Conference, and even though the Nuggets are without their point guard Jamal Murray, who is out for the season with a torn ACL, Jokic has kept this team afloat and could possibly pass the Clippers for third place, as they are only one game behind the Clippers in the Western Conference standings. We look at what Joel Embiid has done. He's averaging 29.2 points a game, 2.9 assists a game, and 10.7 rebounds a game. His team, the Philadelphia 76ers, currently owns the best record in the Eastern Conference, and he is 3 games above the favorite to come out of the East, Brooklyn Nets. He has missed 19 games this season, but when he plays, his impact is definitely felt because he just brings that nasty that Philly needs, and he is definitely dominant in the paint area. And Joel Embiid is one of those centers that can score on all 3 assets of the game, whether it be in the paint, whether it be mid-range, on the pick and pop, and he can even stretch you out by shooting from distance. Joel Embiid is a monster. Chris Paul, aka CP3, is in this race because of the impact that he has had on his team. He is averaging 16.2 points, 8.9 assists, and 4.5 rebounds a game. The impact he's had on Phoenix has definitely taken the league by storm, because you have to remember, even though the Phoenix Suns were trending in the right direction and was undefeated in the bubble last season, they didn't even make the play-in tournament, let alone the playoffs. So now, even though statistically speaking, by Chris Paul individual stats doesn't scream MVP, the impact that he's had on the Suns can be seen from a mile away, because the Suns are in second place in the Western Conference and is only 2 games behind the Utah Jazz for not only the best record in the league, in the Western Conference, but also for the best team in the league. And last but not least, my boy Steph Curry. Now, granted, the Warriors are in 8th place and will have to play in the play-in tournament. You can't deny what Steph has done this season is amazing. Remember, KD is gone. Clay is injured. Draymond in and out of the lineup. And yes, Steph is still averaging 31.9 points, 5.7 assists, and 5.5 rebounds a game. And right now is the NBA's league leading scorer. And it looks like he's going to win this second scoring title if he can keep up this momentum. He has had 11 games where he's scored 30 or more points and continues to defy the odds and keep the Warriors in playoff contention. Remember, what he's doing is amazing, because opposing defenses know that Steph Curry is going to be the person with the ball in their hand, with it in his hand. And even though they know this and there's nobody else to zero in on, Steph Curry has still found a way to catch the Holy Ghost on people. Now, I would love to see Steph win this award, but if we're saying, if we're not speaking from the heart and we're speaking from a unbiased perspective, then I would say the MVP will be the Joker, who I still think he deserves it as well. Just look at what he's done for the Denver Nuggets team. They continuing to build off what they did last year. Remember, last year they made it as far as the Western Conference Finals until they, met the demise at the hands of the Lakers. But remember, they had a signature win in their playoffs last year because they beat the Clippers. They beat them. And remember, Denver was a team that overcame 3-1 deficits on 2 teams. They beat the Utah Jazz, who had them down 3-1, and then they beat the Los Angeles Clippers, who had them down 3-1. And then they come in this year, took them a while to get it together, but they started to play at the right time. During the trade deadline, you bring in somebody like Aaron Gordon from the Orlando Magic, and things just changed for Denver. And then, they brought in Austin Rivers to try to, I guess, recover or recoup from the loss that they're feeling from Jamal Murray. So right now, Denver is still looking like a scary team in the Western Conference. And I'm going to just be honest with you guys. You really don't know who's going to win the championship this year. Right now, it's really up in the air because a lot of people are saying, well, wait till Brooklyn gets Harden back. Just because Harden comes back don't mean that they're going to play defense any better than what they're playing now. They still have to learn how to defend if they're going to be taken seriously as championship contenders, because the Lakers can score with you. Phoenix can score with you. Milwaukee just proved that you guys really don't have an answer for Giannis. So that's going to be interesting to see. I am really excited to see this year's playoffs because you don't know who's going to win. And now that they're letting the fans back in the stands, it's going to feel a little bit of normalcy in the playoffs. I just can't wait to hear, the screaming fans, and make basketball fun again. But as I mentioned, I think Joker will be your MVP of this year's 2020-2021 season. Couple quick hits before we leave. J. Cole, the rapper, Jermaine Cole, if you guys didn't know, will be playing professional basketball for the African League, as he'll be playing for the Rwanda Patriots. And this African League will feature 12 teams to play within this league. If you don't know, J. Cole, he is a decent basketball player. He starred for at Sanford High School in North Carolina, and then he also became a walk-on at the famous St. John's School before he will ultimately turn his focus to music before playing in one Division I game. J. Cole, we've been seeing clips of him on TikTok or on Instagram where he's in the gym and he's getting up shots, showing that stroke, and J. Cole looks like he can shoot that ball. Right now they're saying it's speculation, but apparently he's already in Rwanda in quarantine, and he's supposed to make this deal official on Thursday when he signs his contract. So it's definitely something we're going to be keeping our eyes on. You heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents first. And last but not least, I got to show love to my boy Canelo Alvarez as he defeated Billy Joe Saunders this Saturday in front of a live crowd of 73,126 people inside of the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Arlington, Texas, which we know is the home of the Cowboys. Canelo, who's considered the best pound-for-pound boxer in professional boxing, has now unified the super middleweight title because Billy Joe Saunders held the WBO title, and after Canelo defeated him, he has now unified the belts. As we know, this fight only went to 8 rounds. Canelo won by TKO in the 8th round. As I can tell you this, earlier in the fight, Canelo came out fast. He came out punching hard. And I'm like, wow, he's about to wipe the floor with this guy. But Billy Joe Saunders, man, he showed some great heart. And I want to say in like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, he was actually bringing the fight to Canelo, hitting him with nasty body shots, being quick on the jab, But we know Canelo is a great counterpuncher. And Canelo started to get that defense down pat. And I want to say around the 6th, 7th round, Canelo started to read Billy Joe Saunders. And it became over with at that point for him. Because in that 8th round, Canelo would catch Saunders with a vicious uppercut right to the eye and immediately swelled that eye. I was saying, Lord, did he knock the oh Lord Jesus out of him? Now, Billy Saunders showed great heart by not going down because, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you guys this was a clean uppercut, this uppercut was so clean, I thought he had put Clorox on his gloves. That's how clean this was. This man hit that man with a vicious uppercut, and once the round was over with, he went to his corner. He said he couldn't open his eye, and it was over with. The corner threw in the towel. Canelo Alvarez, your winner in the 8th round by TKO. I heard, I was reading immediately after the fight, Billy Joe Saunders had to go to the hospital because they believe that he broke his orbital bone in his face. And Canelo said it. I was reading what he said during the fight. He knew once he hit him, he went to his corner and said, he's not going to continue to fight. I broke his cheek. He knew that he had caught him with a vicious uppercut. And we all know, like I mentioned, Canelo right now is considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in professional boxing. Right now, Canelo, after this fight, has a record of 56 wins, 1 loss, which was to Mayweather, and 2 draws, with one of those being to Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. But he also has 38 of those wins, of those 56 wins, by knockout. And I'm excited to see what's next for Canelo. I saw earlier, as I was watching some of the post-fight conferences, that he got into it with another fighter. And I think his name is Andrade, I want to say. And that guy was calling him out. Canelo was saying, man, you're a horrible fighter. You don't want no smoke. Dude told him to watch his mouth. I don't know if the fight is going to happen, but things are definitely heating up in the middleweight division. And you know Rob's 2 cents is all here for it. We want the smoke. And ladies and gentlemen, that is, I got one more piece of information. I want to say our thoughts and prayers right now is with Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics, who has been ruled out this season with a torn ligament in his left wrist. He's going to have a season-ending surgery to repair this torn ligament later this week. This season, through 58 games, Brown has averaged 24.7 points, 3.4 assists, and 6 rebounds a game. He will definitely be missed by the Celtics. As I mentioned, Boston is only 2 games in front of the Hornets, sitting in that 7th spot. And we know that they're going to be in the play-in tournament. So now without Jaylen Brown, all the pressure falls down to Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart and those boys. And let me just tell you guys, this was a significant loss. As the Celtics has 4 games left, if they find a way to lose all 4 of these games and the teams below them find a way to win, we could see the Boston Celtics not even making the play-in tournament. So just wishing Jaylen Brown, hoping and praying that he has a successful surgery. Can't wait to see him back next season, as he was an all-star this year, which was he rightfully deserved. And you know, even though the Celtics hasn't lived up to expectations, he still put on some great performances for the fans this year, and he's definitely going to be missed in Boston as they try to finish out the rest of their season, hoping that they can at least make a little noise in the play-in. So Jaylen, man, get well soon, and can't wait to see you back out there on the court, brother. And that's my show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for sticking around with your boy. As you guys know, I'm going to bring you the hot sports topics, man. Make sure you guys tell your friends. Tell your family. If you know they watch sports, support your boy. Have them subscribe to the channel, man. I want to bring you the news the best way I know how, and I want to get one step closer to living out my dream, to be on ESPN, to be at these games, to interview these star players, and to put a voice out there that, you know, us people from the hood is used to. Hey, I'm not Brian Gumble. I'm Robert Scott, and I need you guys to understand that. Make sure you like the video, hit that thumbs up, hit the notification bell, so that way you can be notified anytime a new episode of Rob's 2 Cents is available. Follow your boy on Facebook, follow your boy on Instagram, follow your boy on Twitter, follow your boy on TikTok. I'm everywhere, man. Also, if you don't like watching the videos or just like to hear, go on Spotify, go on iTunes. Rob Scott is in the building, baby. I appreciate you guys for all of your support. Hope you guys continue to have a great week. And I hope you continue to be great, baby. And you already know the slogan. We go! There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to Look past the illusions. Look past the delusions of grandeur. And look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we go.